everyone. Welcome back. It is that time once again. And no, we are not talking about wrestling today, even though we might throw a wrestling word here and there. We are actually going back to tier list land today. That's right. We haven't done a tier list in a while. This is the third in a triple threat. If you go over to Campo's channel and you go over to Putty's channel, I'll have the links to those. We all did breakdowns, reviews of Twisted Metal, the TV show. So, to complete the trifecta, I thought, hey, we haven't done gaming content on my channel in a while, so let's break down and tier list the Twisted Metal games and rank which one is the best game. So before we do any of that, make sure you go and check out their videos. Maybe watch this one first because it's probably going to be the shortest one out of all of them.
No, you know what I want to say to you? Subscribe to this channel.
Yeah, which was my next point.
And then maybe go check out our channel.
Well, hit the like button too,
but check out Putty's channel before.
Oh yeah, check out all the channels. Check out all of us. We are working hard to bring this content for you. So with that out of the way, gentlemen, we are going to.
Can I lead us there?
Absolutely.
Let's go to tier list land.
Boom, and here we are. It's Sting. All right. So we are here in
tier list sweet tooth.
You're right.
Yeah,
so we are here in tier list land, and there it is. If you watched Putty's video before mine, you will see that this is the long box copy of Twisted Metal, the one that was actually in the first episode of the show. So this is the game that started it all. Where would you guys list this video?
Can I lead this?
Absolutely.
Yeah, go ahead.
Like I said, if you watch other videos, my gaming history, I won't go through it, but when I got my PlayStation, I bought a grouping of games: Warzone, GTA 2, and Twisted Metal was one of them. Before my Chinatown expansion, modded, you're gonna get cheap games, and I love Twisted Metal, and I think, and you guys will argue this down maybe, but I think this is Sweet Tooth.
I'm kind of agreeing.
The introduction of Sweet Tooth. It was the introduction to vehicular combat. Up until this point, the only game like this I've played was Carmageddon.
And I think this took that's a good reference, because I think this took what Carmageddon did and did it better.
Yeah, absolutely. It took elements of Carmageddon mixed with some Mortal Kombat shit in this too, right? You know what I mean? So we're thinking this is peak teenage Johnny, 1995. This is I'm 18 years old and I'm like, yes, finally we're getting more adult, mature style games. Like this, I think led.
And I think this might speak more to you than it did to me, even though I gave it to the top, because at that point I was a kid and this was really cool, like some reckless stuff. But at that time, for gamers, outside of Sega, which tried to appeal to you guys, like the older market, it still didn't really have that many older games. But when PlayStation came out, it really pushed the limit of what you could do with content. And I think. And not only is this actually a good game that belongs in Sweet Tooth, I think what it represents belongs in Sweet Tooth.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny.
Go ahead,
I want to jump in here because it's funny you just said that. This is referencing, because we actually talked about one of the other videos. I think it was your review. We talked about this, and I didn't get to jump in. When you were talking about the whole Sonic and Mario thing, and you did a small description, which again, go watch the video. You can get a lead up to why I'm talking about this. But you were talking about how Sonic growing up, Sega was more of we're the bad attitude, we're the awesome thing. But Mario was always the big hitter. He was the one that everyone knew. But Sonic always competed. Well, the movie world, people were like, Mario beat Sonic again. But I'm at the same time, yeah, it beat it in box office records. But as far as being a solid movie, I still feel like the Sonic movie was ooh, we're focused on adults and more, with the kids, but also the adults, while Mario was oh, we're still going for kids. And that's the problem.
Hell, even Detective Pikachu I'd put ahead of the Mario movie.
Yeah, exactly.
We would, because I think those are probably the top 3 maybe video game movies ever. But to say on to Putty's point, sure, Super Mario movie made that much money, but it's one of those things where I had conversations in group chats, and I think we've talked about it. It's the IP is so massive. yes, Sonic is a big IP. Yes, Pokemon's a big IP, but there's no bigger IP. Not even Marvel, not even Batman, not Spider-Man is bigger than Mario, because people who don't speak English have played
No,
Mario. And I don't think that's a
A
testament to the
franchise that is
quality.
getting 3 games released this year.
But this is what I'm
2
saying, right?
remakes and a brand new game.
I don't think that's a testament to the quality of the movie, where Sonic, not only was it better, but it also made a lot of money. So it's not like they failed. Sure, it didn't make Mario money, but I don't expect it to. Mario should make Mario money. And I know we're going off topic here, but I think Twisted Metal 1 is Sweet Tooth.
It is 100%. I also want to say, at 18 years old, when you're that age, especially back in the late 80s, early 90s, as you got older, it wasn't cool to play video games anymore. You had to grow up. You had to. This, I think, solidified that, yeah, you can be an adult and still be a gamer.
Where I think we've talked about this multiple times. We're different age groups, right? By a long shot. And for you at this time, that's what it was. Video gaming wasn't cool anymore. And for me, in my era, it was like comic books weren't cool anymore, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like you grow out of it and you do your thing, and then you come back to them later and you enjoy it. And I think we all agree on this. Twisted Metal 2, I think gameplay wise
improved so much.
But it's not a better game.
Here's my thing.
It has better mechanics, but I'll say my thing and I'll let Putty talk. I think it's a high B. I think it's the highest B.
B. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, here's my thing. I'm kind of mixed feelings on that, because here's the thing. It's kind of like the whole Tony Hawk syndrome. When the first Tony Hawk game is good, and then the second one's better, but it's based off the same engine. They're just adding new things. That's what's kind of happening
was the
here.
best.
Yeah, but see, the thing is, the thing is, well, the reason I'm bringing it up is because this was doing the same thing. Is it enough that it was a great game? It was a great game. I think we're excited to think it was better than the first Twisted Metal, but at the same time, then going back to it, you're like, okay, there's definitely better Twisted Metal games. So yeah,
if you go over the internet a lot, people are going to rank Twisted Metal 2 as the best game, and I don't think it is.
I don't. Yeah. I agree with JD. And I agree with your take on that, and I agree with your opinion on that, because, like I said, I do think the mechanics of the game are better, because it's a little more polished, because the first game was like almost release date for PlayStation, right? But it was
a launch title.
To take Putty's opinion, which makes sense, what Putty said, and it does make sense, but my differentiating factor is Tony Hawk 2 did everything the first game did better. Where the second game, yes, it had better gameplay, but it just wasn't a better game.
It wasn't enough to make it better. It wasn't as iconic.
Yeah, it was slightly more polished, but it's not a lot more polished. And to me, it's a high B. Putty, what was your rating?
I put a B too. That's what I'm saying. I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying
I'm agreeing with that too.
Okay.
The internet is going to hate us for this one.
But it's okay, because I've played all of them, and I think legitimately that's what it is.
All right. Next, we're going into Twisted Metal 3.
Okay.
This is where they really started focusing on the character and Sweet Tooth.
Hate me if you want. I think we got more Sweet Tooth. We got a little more character aspect.
Was this the one where they made Sweet Tooth like a carnival circus clown type of? Yeah.
Okay, so we got a little more character depth to the game to make it mean more, but it didn't push the limits of the second game at all. It was basically the same game with a little bit more story, and at least the second game to me was like mechanically, like I said, better than the first. To me, this is lower than part 2.
Yeah, I'm almost willing to put this at the end of B, maybe even top of Car Wreck.
I don't know if it's because car wreck,
I don't know about Car Wreck, but it's B.
Okay, I can deal with B. This one I think is a car wreck.
Yeah, I agree on that one.
I don't even know if we really need to talk about this.
Basically, Sweet Tooth kills Calypso, and Sweet Tooth is running the tournament now.
Yeah, like after all the time we had to develop a game that was so weak like this,
and he's not even a playable character. He's the final boss of the game.
it's so weak. It's so weak. Even the multiplayer on it, because that's what really. So even to add to this, in the first game, the multiplayer is great. In the second game, yes, the mechanics are better, but I don't know if it made that better. The third game gets more story, but it doesn't do better. This game is like, how did you go this long and knowing what you did so far and not get any better?
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement on this one. I think we're all in agreement.
This might be the one that might be hard because I'm just gonna say it. Twisted Metal Black, I thought was an amazing game. It was
a return to form for me.
Yeah, and honestly, it would be right behind the first game in my eyes. That's how good I feel it is. Twisted Metal Black was one of my favorite games. I was addicted to it. And again, this is where we got the sweet tooth we know to this day. Now, this is the sweet tooth we saw.
This is the one with the sweet tooth transforming truck.
Yeah, exactly. And oh my
God,
I love this game.
This is Sweet Tooth behind the first game.
Yes,
I agree.
Just as soon as you turn on the PlayStation, as soon as you boot up the game and you hear those first 3 notes of the Rolling Stones Paint It Black, it's like as soon as you hear and it's like, that's it. I'm done.
You know what? Actually, I have an opinion, but I'll save it till the end.
Okay. I'm in agreement. This is up there.
Yep. Okay, I've actually never played this.
Which one? Small Brawl? It's Car Wreck.
It's the worst game.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Oh,
I'm glad I didn't play it.
Yeah, it's a car wreck. The concept was good. This came out just after Twisted Metal Black.
That's why I didn't play it, because why would I play that when I had Black?
But this was also not released on the PlayStation 2. This was actually released on the PlayStation 1.
Yep.
So this was garnered to kids, while the adults are on the PlayStation 2 playing Black. The kids can play like this miniature. The concept was good with the remote control cars. I like the idea. It just was literally a car wreck of a game.
Okay, so now Twisted Metal Head On. This
Head
is Twisted Metal. So Head On, I'll go ahead and take over. Head On is actually a expansion of Black, where they basically added new vehicles. And if you saw my video of JD explain this, I knew there was some secret characters in there. There was actually one in the series, so go watch that to see that. But this is actually an expansion of Black, and it's funny. How do you expand a game that's great and then make it worse
at the same time?
Like Head On wasn't as good as Black.
You know what's funny? I know we do a lot of these tier lists, and there's always games in it that like somebody hasn't played, but like this tier list is like the one that we've probably all played.
Yeah.
And this game sucks.
Yeah.
It's better than
Head On, or not Head On, then
it's not better than 4.
No.
Yeah, it's better than but it's like
then
we have
the remake,
2012.
The reboot, I guess.
Reboot, yeah. I actually like this, but not that high. I would say for me it's an A.
Can I make an argument here?
Sure.
I think Twisted Metal 2 should be an A.
And put this at the top of B.
Put this at the top of B.
Really?
I think I'm in agreement to that.
Really? I actually like the new one better than 2, honestly. Well,
okay. Wait.
Well, let's see.
Do you think we should put the new one in A as the only A? Because I don't hate this game.
No, it wasn't the only thing I didn't like about this game. This was a game where you don't have a specific driver to a specific car.
Yes.
This is, you can mix and match, you can compete but there's only 3 main characters you can complete the story as.
Oh, I forgot about that.
And
oh yeah.
I think it's only Sweet Tooth, Dollface, and
well, I think that's the reason why I wasn't so mad about it, because I got to play
only
Sweet
one
Tooth
of the
and Dollface.
Only one of these games between this and 2 deserves to be an A, not both of them, one of them.
Yeah.
So
well, I like this better.
I'm okay either way. So you guys tell me where you want it.
I want this in A. I would love to leave 2 and B.
Let's give it to Putty.
Okay, let's give it to Putty then. I'm good with that,
because I'm not upset about this at all.
No, like the 3 worst games are there, and the sweet those.
I'm so happy that we don't have a Neverdrive.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, well, I have no. Actually, for me, it would be a Small Brawl would be.
But I mean, we've at least played it, so at least we have that.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
It is.
And you know what? I never owned it. I used to go to my friend's house, and he had the game. I don't remember why.
Well, that was my whole point. See, the thing is, I just like JD said, I knew that it came out after Black, but I couldn't remember if it did come on PS1 or PS2, and I'm pretty sure you're right.
But this is the thing you have to take into factor, right? So
Yeah.
I won't say older kids, younger kids, but we were playing Black on PlayStation 2.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason, this game existed on PlayStation.
Because they thought, like, for example, Twisted Metal Black was what year? This was 2001. Okay, so 2001, you're what, maybe 14, 15?
Yeah.
Right?
And I think Small Blue and Black both came out 2001.
Yeah, but technically you shouldn't have been playing.
And I think
if you went by the ESRB rating.
I think there's only, in my opinion, 3 specific, I don't want to say eras, but 3 specific generations of gaming where it was like uber overload. Okay.
Yeah.
It was NES, PlayStation 1, and PlayStation 2. Not even generations, specific consoles. Because how many games? And I know Super Nintendo and Sega had a lot of games, but not like PlayStation and PlayStation 2. PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 1 have like crazy games. And if you go look at PS
quality games.
Yeah. Just
because the Wii had a lot of games, but just a bunch of shovelware.
But a lot of it's shovelware, right? And at this point, shovelware doesn't exist.
Well, you got to remember. See, I don't
right?
know
When did shovelware start existing? On the Wii, right?
Yeah,
when people were able to create shovelware.
Well, yeah, but you got to remember. See, I know this is kind of
Shovel Knight. And by the way, if people don't know this, the reason it's called
game.
Shovel Knight is because of shovelware.
Well, yeah, but
it's a fantastic game.
Oh yeah, I love it. I even have the amiibo. But anyway, but no, the thing is, I will say this with Sega because I know I'm like a Sega fanboy and everything, but I don't know how many games they released. I know there was the complication where Nintendo was having that whole situation with the licensing, like people like was selling non-licensed. So Sega was like, screw it, we'll just do anything, and that's the reason why we got mad and all that is because it was allowing more open doors for things to happen.
As
and Sega was
a Genesis guy, because I never had a Super Nintendo. Okay, where we talked about this in our videos. When we did the RPG things, I never got to play those great RPG games until much later in my life, right?
And Sega had a lot of good ones.
But I do think Sega had a lot of games, but the quality control on Sega was a lot better than NES. Because Sega and Super Nintendo were pretty close in the ridiculous amount of games that they had in that generation, but there was a much more attention to the quality control. A lot of games sucked, don't get me wrong, like Home Improvement, whatever. There was a lot of IPs.
X-Mutants.
But if you look at NES, there's games that if we go look at a list, you guys as gamers more than me would be shocked at some of the games that exist, right?
Anything by LJN.
Right. Yeah. And I think
shout out to AVGN there.
But I think that next generation, as much games as they released, even when you look at like the Jaguar and all that shit, it was more controlled, right?
Yeah.
PlayStation was like this free-for-all of nonsense. And I'm telling you, because I went to Chinatown, Putty, there was 29 million pages of games I could buy for my burned modded PlayStation. And then when PS2 came out, it was like mental. The amount of PS2 games that came out were crazy. In the first 2 months of PS2 being out, like, you know, when N64 came out, there was like 6 games for a year. When PS2 came out, in the first year of release, there was like 100 and something games. And it's not to say they were bad. There's a lot of great ones, but to me, though, there's the 3 consoles of those generations: NES, PlayStation 1, and PlayStation 2, where it was just like a free-for-all of bullshit.
Yeah.
And I don't remember where this came from, but
hey,
that's what it was. And I was an NES kid. I'm younger than you guys. And then I had my Game Boy and my Game Gear, and then a Sega Genesis. And then I got an N64 for like 2 years, and I got the PlayStation. And by that point, like I said, I had all those games, and I modded it, and we were cruising. And then PS2. And then the next generation, we had a PS3 and an Xbox. So, wait, yeah, that's what it was, right? PS2 and Xbox?
No, it's PS3
and Xbox.
Okay, and original Xbox.
No, wait. We're still wrong. No,
it's
you're
PS2
right.
and Xbox.
Sorry, that's what I meant. That's what I meant.
It's PS2 and Xbox. Then it was PS3.
We got the
PS1 and Xbox 360.
Then we were PS2 kids. And then I got the Xbox, and I became an Xbox guy. And then when PS3 came out, my brother got PS3 and I got 360. And then that I stayed in that like mindset. And then PS4 came out and I had a 360 and he had a PS4. And then he gave me his PS4 and I used it, and I kind of really I prefer the layout and the controller of an Xbox. But
Yeah.
I grew to love the PlayStation, and then when PS5 came, it was like, that's my thing. Sorry, I know we're off generations, but you know what I mean there. You know where I'm going with that.
Well, I just want to jump in there too, because I want to say one thing. I never really got to really experience the modding situation on my own, but I know I had a roommate that when he first moved in with us, his name was Eric. Shout out to Eric. He actually had a modded Xbox, and I was like, "What do you mean?" And he goes, "Check this out," and he starts it up, and he has his own wallpaper of this dragon. I'm like, "What the hell?" And then all of a sudden, he's like, "Check out all these games." I go, "How do you have all these games?" He goes, "Oh, I download online shovelware. I'll go through those things." I'm like, "No way!"
Take this in. So I had the modded PlayStation, whatever. My cousins Shake and Bargo had a modded Xbox 360. They were one of the only people I knew who had it. And you know, the difference was you had to take the PlayStation or PlayStation 2 to Chinatown to get them to mod it. You know how you modded an Xbox 360? You went into the disk drive, and you can look this up. I'm not giving you the like scientific thing, but what you would do is you would jam a bunch of pennies in the thing, and it would let you play any game you wanted. Isn't that ridiculous?
And people,
the only thing people about were paying $100 to get it modded, and all the modding guy was welding a bunch of like soldering pennies into the thing. And just like, I know Putty grew up you lived in Chicago for a bit, but Putty lives in a smaller area than us. Like, I grew up in downtown Toronto, so for me, having a modded PlayStation was easy. You hop on the subway, it's like,
I grew up Spadina streetcar down to.
I was a lot less like sheltered than most kids, so it was like, you're a 11, 12-year-old kid. You hop on the subway, you go to Spadina, you get on the streetcar, you go to Chinatown, you go to Chinatown Center, you walk in, boom, there's the list of games. Pick all the games you want.
Dundas and Spadina,
$3 for $10. 3 for $10. Boom, boom, boom. And back then, that's nothing, right? Nowadays, the cost of living in Toronto is so absolutely fucking ridiculous. We won't get into this conversation. But you, Putty, to be honest with you, you would not believe it. It's ridiculous.
Let's do a quick perspective here. When I bought the house I'm living in right now, I bought it in 2009. It's a 2-story, 3-bedroom, semi-detached. Okay. 1,500 square feet. And Campo, you know, you've been to my house.
It's a decent sized house.
It's a good, for 2 people, it's perfect, right? I bought that house in 2009, right at the end of the crash, and I paid under $400,000 Canadian for it.
You'll get $1 million now.
I had it appraised last month. It is valued at 1.3 million, and I have not done anything to it.
Putty,
I have not done.
Sorry, to
anything.
everyone on the internet, not just Putty. The cost of living in Toronto, not just Canada, there's 2 specific places, Vancouver and Toronto, are ridiculous. If you want comparisons, it's the 4 most expensive cities to live in North America, not Canada or the USA. North America is New York, Toronto, Vancouver, San Francisco. Okay, and then London, England. Like, if you want to go like worldwide, it's like it's crazy. Because in Vancouver, like, the majority of the downtown part of the city is on a peninsula kind of island, and there's no more room left to build anything.
So you can only build up.
So you can only buy what's there. There's nothing else. At least in Toronto, we can expand outwards. We have a lot of space here, but that we digress. Twisted Metal is a good game. Play it.
It's also a dead franchise. So PlayStation, please.
I hope. It's one of those franchises I would love to have back.
And we have with the online multiplayer benefit now, because I know they had Twisted Metal Black online, and that was fun, but I feel like it was janky. Now we have the over.
But even like, Twisted Metal, the reboot 2012, whatever it was, they had the online feature as well.
Oh, that's right.
But I would like to vouch for Putty on that. Twisted Metal Online, like the actual thing that they have, is the worst game on here.
Yeah.
It would be behind Twisted Metal Children's edition.
Children's. But I mean, there's so many directions they can take it. Like, you can do a custom character and take that character online. You can do what they do in like Fortnite, for example. Like, what if you got like, you know, something like as silly as like a Dale Earnhardt skin or something like that, just to like, create characters
Max
for the game.
Verstappen.
Max Verstappen in a Formula One car, right?
You could take Talladega Nights and you can actually not Talladega Nights, but you could,
Ricky Bobby.
Yeah, Ricky Bobby. Yeah, exactly. You could literally, and I guarantee we're like, oh, give me enough money.
Wait,
yeah,
not only is that a fun character that would totally play to this genre, but I'm sure whoever owns that Sony would love to get the money from themselves to make that game. Because I believe that now Sony owns the Twisted Metal rights.
Yes, they flat out own it.
Which again, I don't know if they have any on the subscription service. I might actually check it out after this. But like, if you haven't experienced Twisted Metal, you need to go do it.
It's a fun game.
I feel for the new generation though, I feel like Black is gonna be easier for the Ender 2 because the control scheme is a lot different. Because you gotta remember we had the control pad and everything for the old one. I feel like Twisted Metal Black is gonna be the best
Not
introduction.
so much for like the everyday modern gamer, but I think if you're someone who enjoys to retro game, I think Twisted Metal is a fun series to play with. And I think if you do like that, I think Carmageddon is also a fun place to go to.
And I want to mention a few
and Road Rash.
Road Rash.
Well, yeah, I want to mention a few other things. So they, I put these on there, but I didn't put them on the list. There were 2 games created by the same engine. There's one called Critical Depth, which is underwater combat. They made another one called Rogue Trip Vacation 2012, which is a cartoony thing. And then special shout out to this series. No one knew about
Vigilante 8.
I love Vigilante 8 and Star Wars Demolition. These were made by a different company, but they were the only things I felt in any way competed with Twisted Metal. Vigilante 8 and Star Wars Demolition, if you could look those up as well. If you love Twisted Metal, but you don't know any other game you want to play, those are the 2 series I would say. Vigilante 8 and Star Wars Demolition. Great games. Not as good as Twisted Metal, but again, they were good competition, I feel. That's how I feel. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think there was only 2 or 3 Vigilante 8 games.
There's Vigilante 8 Second Offense, and Vigilante 8 Arcade. And then, of course, Star Wars Demolition.
Star Wars Demolition was so underrated. That game was so fun.
All the Star Wars, again, and that's what I'm saying. We don't even have that genre anymore. Where are these car fighting games?
But like I said, especially in this day and age of Fortnite and Modern Warfare and online multiplayer, like this game could work so well in that genre.
I agree. And I mean, with the show being so successful, this is perfect timing. Sony needs to sit there and go, we need to make a new game.
We need to make it,
make the game, and then that would introduce maybe season 2, and season 2 could even be like a promotional thing for the game.
What if they
itself.
use season 2 to promote a new character that they're bringing into a new game?
That would be amazing,
right? That would, like, you can cross promote your own shit.
Yeah,
exactly. Sony, why are we doing the work for you?
I know, right? We're literally doing a pitch meeting, and this is the best pitch meeting where you really listen right now. You need to listen.
Take it. I want more.
With that out of the way, guys, let us know in the comments below which is your favorite Twisted Metal game. Which ones have you played? Which ones have you not? Tell me how crappy Twisted Metal Small Brawl is in the comments below. Or if you love that game, let me know and I'll fight you on it. So, guys, in the words of Kenny Omega, goodbye and good night.